I was doing a Zoom teaching with this men's group at this church, and afterwards there's always a Q&A. And so the very first question was, the Bible doesn't even mention masturbation. How can you say that it's wrong? This is the big question that guys love to ask. Porn and masturbation, watching an R-rated movie and masturbation, watching the exercise shows in the morning and masturbation. They all happen together. It's not like they happen independently of each other. You look at those things, your body gets heated up, and then you masturbate. And so I always, first of all, find it kind of funny that guys can be against porn, but not against masturbation, because they're both equally addictive and they're both equally enslaving, and they both tear down who you want to be as a man. So um, I find for myself from the very beginning, when I became a Christian, and then, of course, God began to sanctify me. And then, of course, then I met Brenda and I wanted to get married. I got married and I brought my sexual sin into marriage with me, which included masturbation. I never asked that question in my entire life. I never one time asked the question, hey, the Bible doesn't mention masturbation. Why would I think it's wrong? It's self-evident to me. It never even occurred to me to ask anything else. Somehow, and most men are trying to claw back some of their sexuality and keep their sexuality to themselves, where Jesus has no right to come in and look at that little part of their sexuality. And there was a second question that was very similar, which was, I use masturbation as a relaxation technique. There can't be anything possibly wrong with that. I don't know. If you're using that same argument about the Bible, where in the Bible does it say that you're supposed to use your sexuality as a relaxation technique? Nowhere. When it comes to masturbation, guys will say, well, that's not mentioned, so it's okay to do. Well, what about this other thing? It's not mentioned that you can use masturbation as a relaxation technique. Why do you think you can do that then? The whole thing gets really confusing to me and how men think. The Bible doesn't talk about masturbation directly, but it sure talks about it indirectly. And I just want to lay out those pathways for guys so that they can understand, okay, what does God really think about this? I also want to talk about it from the standpoint of human sexuality in general. And then also, guys love to say this. They love to say, well, God would not, I mean, he couldn't possibly ask us not to use our sexuality until we're married. He can't possibly do that. That's mean. That's rude. He gives us our sexuality and then he tells us not to use it. Well, his ways are higher than ours. I mean, for us to assume that we can somehow see what's fair or unfair when it comes to his decisions, that's absurd. And what I'd like to do is share some of my experiences out there in ministry over the last 20 years and the attitudes that people have towards God's thoughts that are successful for them, and then the attitudes people have towards God's thoughts that basically doom them to years of prison and sexual sin. I just want to talk about those things. And those are some of the things that come kind of straight from my heart. And again, the thing I just want to say is for me, masturbation, it's always tied to at least lust. God says that lust is as bad as adultery. Well, what in the world am I messing around with that for? There's a lot of ways I can relax. What in the heck? I don't have to have sex with myself in order to be relaxed.